You're listening to Bang Your Head here on 89.1 The Bash, and that was the hit Avenged Sevenfold song, Backcountry. And now for the first part of my interview with Fort Wayne, Indiana-based metalcore band, A Burden to Bear. You're listening to Bang Your Head on 89.1 The Bash. I'm your host, Dawson Cochran. I'm with the guys in A Burden to Bear, which is...
I'm Austin Pocock. I am the bass player and backup vocalist.
I'm Nick Vaughter. I am the clean singer and guitar player.
And I am Wyatt, and I am the other guitar player.
And first question I'd like to ask is, what was it like recording your most recent EP?
Oh man, that's a can of worms. Well, it was pretty much a 4-year process if we're being straight up about it. A lot of things really didn't go our way between, hard drive crashes, losing files, and then just, in the middle of almost being done with it in the first place, just deciding that it wasn't good enough and we could do better. So we've started over a couple of times, but I think it turned out well, and, we did what needed to be done to give everybody a quality product.
It's actually where the name came from, is just kind of the frame of mind, how we felt trying to cross that finish line. We were all just tired and done with those songs specifically. But I think the amount of time we took on it gave us the ability to see where we wanted to go in the future. And I think we're really about to hammer that home in 2023.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That sounds nice. And up next, it's Locked and Loaded by Accept, followed by Death March by Black Label Society, here on BYH on 89.1 The Bash. You're listening to Bang Your Head here on 89.1 The Bash, and you just heard Death Rattle by Pantera. And fun fact, a small instrumental section of this song was featured in the 27th episode of SpongeBob SquarePants, Pre-Hibernation. If you didn't know that before, well, now you know now. Anyhow, up next, we have more of my interview with A Burden to Bear. I am back with the guys in A Burden to Bear, which are...
Austin Pocock,
Nick Vaughter, and Wyatt Traxler.
And who would you say you guys' influences are musically for your band?
So for me specifically, I would say really when I started would be Avenged Sevenfold, Trivium, Old School In Flames, like in the 90s, that kind of death metal edge that they had really inspired a decent amount of my riffs. Huge fan of M Shadows, so for vocals, that's a big one. And I like a lot of, oddly enough, I like a decent amount of like bluegrass and country, which I think stuck a lot of melody.
Yeah. I also have to like a little bit of that stuff as well, so.
I'm sure you and I could talk for a while about that then.
Oh,
Yeah.
I would say my main influences are Trivium, Pantera, probably like a big day one, Korn as well. And I'd say probably lately, I'd say System of a Down's been a really big influence for me as well. I kind of like weirder artists and stuff, and that's like a pretty big catalyst of like pretty much what I like listen to currently.
Yeah, for me personally, I'm kind of in the same boat as Nick for some of them. Avenged Sevenfold was really influential for me growing up. I mean, Beast and the Harlots, the song that made me want to play guitar in the first place. So, I mean, I have to give that credit, right?
For sure.
Outside of that, it's Both My Valentine was really big for me back in like the Poison and Scream Aim Fire kind of eras. Those really, I think that really shows in my guitar playing. And then just growing up, this is going to be hilarious for the kind of music we play, but nu metal was really impactful on my life. More specifically, Limp Bizkit is like one of my top 5 bands of all time. So that's a fun fact for everybody out there.
That's kind of a hot take.
All three of us in this room will die on the hill of Nickelback being an amazing band.
Oh, yeah.
Suppose we'll have to agree to disagree on that one, but it's all good.
That's okay.
Hey, that's fair.
That's okay.
Sure is. And up next, it's Dying in Your Arms by Trivium, followed by Cloud Connected by In Flames, and Drowning by Atreyu, here on BYH on 89.1 The Bash. You're listening to Bang Your Head here on 89.1 The Bash, and you just heard Drowning by Atreyu, one of their newest singles. And up next, more of my interview with A Burden to Bear. You're listening to Bang Your Head. I'm Dawson Cocker, and I'm back with the guys in A Burden to Bear, which are
Austin Pocock,
Nick Botter,
and Wyatt Traxler.
And you guys have a concert coming up on April 1st at the Powerhouse in Princeton, Indiana. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
So what's going on with that?
So we got contacted by X 1984.
1984X, you mean?
What'd you say?
1984X, you mean?
Is that? Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's all good.
I apologize. 1984X contacted us and asked us if we'd come down because they said the Powerhouse was a newer venue. And so, I mean, we kind of looked at the setup they had, and we liked what they were saying about how they tried to bring in free shows I don't think I want to say that, actually. I don't know how I want to say that. Sorry, I just derailed you. We really liked their philosophy of how they like to run shows, and we decided that it would be a great fit for us. They added some awesome bands like Storm Toker, Wave Painter, and we're really stoked to be going down there.
Nice. And up next are the opening acts of that Powerhouse concert, which, by the way, will be on April 1st of this weekend, are the guys themselves, 1984X, followed by Mudvayne with Forget to Remember, here on BYH on 89.1 The Bash. That was Forget to Remember by Mudvayne, here on Bang Your Head on 89.1 The Bash. And up next, more of my interview with A Burden to Bear, where we talk about one of their songs. I am back with the guys in A Burden to Bear, which are
Austin Pocock,
Nick Botter,
and Wyatt Traxler.
And coming up next, we have one of your guys' songs, Ascension. So tell us about that one.
So Ascension was a song that I had started writing. It really came out of my mom got diagnosed with cancer. And so I was kind of using that song as an outlet, and then it evolved from there. And then we ended up getting Spencer to feature on it, which Wyatt can tell you about.
Yeah, so that was definitely an interesting experience, getting him to, want to feature on the song. I mean, realistically, I just went to his meet and greet at Warped Tour. I think it was 2016, like whatever the last year of Warped Tour was. And I had initially talked to him back then about featuring on a song. He was like, yeah, here's my contact info, send it over, and I'll let you know if I'm interested. And so I mean that's that's pretty much the cut and dry of it. Like I sent the track over to him, just a demo at the time, and he was like, yeah, I'm into this. It reminds me of like old Unearth, and I'm really into that. So then he agreed to do the feature, and that pretty much sealed it.
Yeah, we spent about a solid day in Joe Contreras' apartment, just writing like vocals for the song, and it was a really good time for us and kind of helped us grow as songwriters.
Yeah, each of the verses you hear was primarily structured, I believe, by a different member of the band, with Wyatt having very heavily influenced the first. Joe, our harsh vocalist, who Austin mentioned, he did the second, and I structured primarily the third. So it was a very collaborative effort from A Burden to Bear. Probably the most out of any song that we have out to date.
Kind of cool that you got someone from kind of a growing, kind of huge metalcore band to feature in your song.
Yeah, Ice Nine Kills is really doing well for themselves right now.
For sure.
I believe that Patrick is their new guitar player.
No, Ricky.
Ricky's their new guitar player.
And then Dan Sugarman is the other guy playing guitar on the other side of the stage. Those guys are killer.
Oh yeah.
Hard to replace JD, but they're doing a really good job.
Oh yeah.
So with all that being said, up next, it's Ascension by A Burden to Bear. That was Ascension by A Burden to Bear here on Bang Your Head. And up next, another interview with A Burden to Bear about another one of their songs. I am back on Bang Your Head with the guys in A Burden to Bear, which are
Austin Pocock,
Nick Botter,
and Wyatt Traxler.
And up next, we'll be having one more of your songs, The Weight of Your Heart. So what's that one all about?
The Weight of Your Heart is it was probably the first collaboration in terms of lyrics that really brought Joe into the band, really, and instrumentally, I guess, as well. Joe is a guitar player as well, even though he doesn't play it on stage, mostly. But Joe wrote the main riff, and I think a couple of other riffs in The Weight of Your Heart. He really contributed heavily to the music of that. So that main chorus riff was Joe's, before he had come into the band. He had just kind of had it sitting around. But him and I had both had friends that, passed away from the mistakes or misdeeds of other people. And that kind of let us combine our experiences and write really the lyrics to that song. The first verse is about one, the second verse is about the other. And so we kind of came together for the first time as a collaboration to the whole when it came to lyrics, which Joe had lyrics already and I added my chorus to it, and that was really it. And I also added that basically all the clean parts I did and all the harsh parts Joe did, and we didn't really, I guess, mesh with each other on it. We just said, yeah, that's cool, let's go. But The Weight of Your Heart was our first real collaboration.
So with all that being said, up next is The Weight of Your Heart by A Burden to Bear. You're listening to Bang Your Head here on 89.1 The Bash. I'm your host, Dawson Cochran, and at the start of the second hour of this show, that was Conspiracy by Slayer. And up next, it's the last part of my interview with Fort Wayne-based metalcore band, A Burden to Bear. I am here for one last segment with the guys in A Burden to Bear, which are
Austin Pocock,
Nick Potter,
and Wyatt Trexler.
And are there any final thoughts you'd kind of like to leave our listener with?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of stuff in the pipeline here coming up. I mean, we've got sort of a secret song that we've been working on. It's actually a cover. I won't say too much about that one. We'll let it be a little bit of a surprise. But we've got that's going to be coming out pretty soon. We're really stoked about that. We're working on another EP that we're going to be releasing this year, as well as a third EP actually, which is probably going to be out early 2024 if I were to just make a guess off the cuff.
Yeah, so if everything runs according to schedule, which never happens, we prepared pretty well. I think it'll go according to our plans. We should have an EP out around the end of August, I believe. And then our next EP that we have scheduled for after that, I know this one because I was just messing around with the timeline today, should be falling out around January 1st of the first month of the year in 24 on the 26th date. So that is to say January 26th, 2024. So yeah, we've got a lot of stuff ready to go. We're ready to show people where we've come since starting on With Empty Eyes and Hollow Hearts. And that's not the best we've got.
Sure sounds like it. Nice talking to you guys.
It was nice talking to you too, Dawson.
Yes, it sure was nice talking to him. I'd like to once again thank them for taking the time out of their day to do an interview with me for this Thursday's show. And up next, I'll be having another one of their songs, Which is Which, followed by Reckless by Lacuna Coil and 1320 by Megadeth, here on Bang Your Head on 89.1 The Bash.